Blessings, everybody. This is Dale. Thank you so much for joining with me today on the Word Podcast. We're pressing on in the book of Revelation. We're up to the 14th chapter now. Now, watch what the first words are here in this first verse. It says this, "Then I looked." Okay? Then I looked. And so all through this revelation that John is receiving, we see these timing elements, these timing sequences like this. So it's like one event after another after another. And John is seeing things. So he sees a particular thing. In the previous chapter, he'd seen a dragon standing by the seashore. That came out of the 12th chapter. And then he saw a beast come up out of the sea. And then he saw a beast come up out of the earth, out of the land. He sees all these things. He describes these things. And now he looks and he says, "I looked and behold." Behold, yeah. In other words, wait a minute. Hey, look, there's something. He sees this. The Lamb was standing on Mount Zion. So then I looked and behold, the Lamb was standing on Mount Zion. Well, who's the Lamb? This is the Lamb that we've seen from chapter 4 and chapter 5, the one who is worthy to open the book, to break the seals. He's standing on Mount Zion. That's literally hill in Jerusalem. You see it all through Scripture in various ways, of description at times. He sees the Lamb on Mount Zion, and with him, with the Lamb, 144,000, having his name and the name of his Father written on their foreheads. So we've seen 144,000 before. I think that was in chapter 7, was it? I think that was right. 144,000 that were sealed. Remember how they were sealed? Well, here, the 144,000, and we're assuming, I am at just this reading at this time, that it's the same 144,000. They have his name, the Lamb's name, and the name of the Lamb's Father on their foreheads, which makes me think, is that the way they were sealed? Is that what it meant to be sealed? You know, that type of thing. So anyway, John looks, and behold, there they are. He sees the Lamb. He's standing on Mount Zion. He sees the 144,000 with the Lamb's name and the Father's name on their foreheads standing there with him. Then verse 2. "And I heard a voice from heaven, like the sound of many waters, and like the sound of loud thunder. And the voice which I heard was like the sound of harpists playing on their harps." That's interesting, is it not? And, the more you read the Scripture, the more the Lord reveals to you, the more questions you have come to your mind, And so we've seen this a lot, these loud sounds. We've seen thunders. We've seen loud voices. We're getting more detail here, but just think on this for a moment. He heard a voice, okay? So it's a voice. And the voice is like this, and it's like this. So it's like the sound of many waters. Well, what is the sound of many waters? Okay, we're thinking of the rushing waters, maybe of a brook, the rushing waters of a river. Probably the best sound of the rushing of many waters is a gigantic waterfall, okay, a very large waterfall. Because what happens, the sound, the sound of great winds, the sound of a great fire, those three things in the natural, in nature, create what we call white noise, okay, white noise. And it's a very broad span of the spectrum that we can hear as human beings. So when you're hearing a gigantic waterfall, that's containing all the elements of the sound spectrum that we can hear. Just a huge amount of sound. This voice is like that. It was like the sound of many waters. And it's like the sound of loud thunder. Okay, thunder is the subwoofer, right? The sub bass, that rumbling, this sound. This is what this voice was like. But then, and the voice which I heard was like the sound of harpists playing on their harps. And that sort of catches you by surprise right there, because you have this massive spectrum of sound, many waters, massive spectrum of sound, particularly the low frequencies, loud thunder. But then you have the harp. And the harp is what kind of sound? Yeah, it's like a delicate sound. Okay? It's an individual sound. No, 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 no. You can play several of them at the same time, but it's still sort of limited. Okay? But he says, I heard what sounded like the harpist playing on their harps. So there's more than one. But it's very distinctive. Okay? It's very pleasing. It's very melodic. It's also harmonic, but it's very melodic. And so in the midst of all this sound, he hears this distinctive voice. He hears this distinctive sound. And the voice which I heard was like the sound of harpists playing upon their harps. Notice there's more than one again. It's plural. Now watch this, verse 3. And they sang a new song before the throne. Now hang on a second. Who be they? Okay, so you got the Lamb, okay, standing on Mount Zion with 144,000 that have been marked. And I heard a voice from heaven like the sound of many waters, okay, like the sound of thunder, and the voice of them like the sound. And they sang. So it's not the 144,000 singing. It's the voice from heaven. The voice from heaven is a they. The voice from heaven is plural. The harpist on the harp, like that kind of sound. But they're all one voice. Yeah. Verse 3. And they sang a new song before the throne and before the four living creatures and the elders. And no one could learn the song, wait for this, except the 144,000 who had been purchased from the earth. Wait. So the 144,000 could learn the song. Okay, they could learn it. But how could they learn the song? Because it's coming from where? From heaven. It's coming from heaven. This new song is arising from there. The 144,000 who have been purchased from earth could learn it. Let's learn more about them. Verse 7. These are the ones, the 144,000, who had not been defiled with women, for they had kept themselves chaste. These are the ones who follow the Lamb wherever he goes. These have been purchased from among men as firstfruits to God and to the Lamb, and no lie was found in their mouth. They are blameless. So we learn much more about these 144,000, which align with what we've already seen about the 144,000. Okay, we find out that they haven't been defiled with women. They've kept themselves chaste. If they've kept themselves chaste, that means they had opportunity not to keep themselves, right? What do? They follow the Lamb wherever he goes. They have been purchased from among the men, okay, as first fruits. In other words, the first of that which is yet to come. First fruits to God and first fruits to the Lamb. And there was no lie found in their mouth. They're blameless. They're a picture of that which is yet to come in the fullness of all that God is going to do when he gathers those that are his together. Anyway, there's much more to this. We'll continue pressing on in our next episode. Again, I'm Dale. I'll see y'all then. Goodbye.